My bad. Little something in my throat. This is a film about 4 blokes hanging out in the mountains of the Yukon. And doing a bit of climbing, I guess.
Be really careful not to stab your junk.
But before we get into it, let's introduce the crew.
Stay in school, kids.
Hailing from down under, we have Robbo, base camp engineer and comical relief.
So I was free soloing in Converse. I was like, if I just break both my legs, at least I'll be alive.
Yukon climbing legend and the most experienced of the group, we have Dave.
I love pink flamingos.
Hailing from the Alaskan Panhandle, a quintessential climbing dirtbag and new router, Zach.
Yeah.
Last we have John, project mastermind and one of the most stoked climbers north of 60. We start our journey in Whitehorse, before flying 75 kilometers to the south. To this blurry blob, known as Radelet Peak. The team's goal is this knife-edge ridge. They're calling it the Crystal Arête. The only other people known to have attempted technical rock climbing up these spires of granite was Zach and his buddy Tim in 2018.
28 days, we did almost no rock climbing. 11 days of weather. Poor rock, no bolts, trepidation, cold weather, shoulder problems, all sorts of stuff came together to conspire against us.
Only Rob and John know each other well. Since John moved to the Yukon, they've been each other's main partners for adventure climbing. Zach and John had only climbed together once before after meeting on social media. And they all met Dave for the first time the day before the trip.
So when I heard about Yukon 125, I knew it was an immediate opportunity to get a climbing expedition funded. Nowhere else, I mean, in the world maybe, but definitely not in Canada, but the Yukon, would you be able to get $20,000 for a climbing expedition? Huge shout out to the Yukon government for running an initiative like Yukon 125. Another member of the team was my partner, Nicole.
My name's Nicole Allen.
You know, honorary member because Zach's very cute dog Yodi needed somewhere to stay while we were gone, and Nicole took one for the team and watched him for the week and a half that we were gone.
I'm the dog mom, the weather lady, and the SOS.
What do you think of Yodi?
He's so cute. I want to cry every time I look at his face.
Shout out Nicole doing that for us, and then also, you know, just we totally took over the apartment with our packing. It was total chaos, and she just, you know, totally allowed it and was supportive. So honorary member for sure.
You should be able to see the little lake that we were hoping to set up camp.
Lake
around.
nice, that's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, that's steep. And then ideally that southern edge, that to me, in my mind, looked like the most likely spot for an LZ, but obviously you guys know better.
Yeah, we will see when we get there.
Yeah, if we can get onto that side though, that would be rather than the glacier.
Yeah, I will try to make it happen, but I can promise you before.
Ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh! All right, he's got it. He's got it.
That was hilarious, man. Good. That was awesome.
What you didn't see was that we got the same thing
Rock
4 times, and then we were just like, all right.
Rock climbers picking rock 4
Yeah.
times in a row.
That must be some kind of bias.
Yeah.
Splitter crack walking. Holy shit.
Dave, put a piece in.
All right, so we're into pitch 1, which we may have underestimated a little bit. We brought 1 rope and no drill. We ended up placing my first bolt on top rope. That was fun. She's looking good.
How was the first pitch?
Well, as you can see, it has a bit of au cheval and is actually knife edge. It is a point right before the anchor.
So it's a little.
And we learned a lesson in that we should definitely quest on lead with a drill, because his anchor wasn't bad, but yeah, nothing's to be underestimated, not even the first flat pitch. So, yeah.
I can tell you one thing though, that is a knife edge ridge that is so sharp, it's like, you cut stuff
It
off.
hurts the a little bit.
Oh my is
I was
I
like,
brought my dumb rope.
Here, what is?
Oh, you know, that spot.
so before I came here and actually set foot, my buddy Tim Plocky and I did as much research as we could, and the only thing that we heard about this place is that about 20 years previous, some folks had been in here to ice climb and explore, and they called it the Crystal Towers. And we were just so curious why that was, you know? And it was really obvious when we got here, starting to pick up all this really cool smoky quartz crystal, clear quartz crystal. That is how this place got its name.
I mean, finding crystals for me was definitely one of the major highlights. You know, it's just so primal finding this jewel from the earth, and the reward centers just like light up when you see it, you glimpse it in the gravel, and then you bend down and look and you realize that it's a crystal, and it's just, yeah, I got all misty-eyed thinking about it.
Shows your crystal, Zach.
First crystal of the trip. It's not fully intact, but you know they're out there.
Rob,
They're out there somewhere.
shows your
I just
crystal.
want to say it's about quality, not quantity.
It's a special feeling to be out here too. There's a certain, there's a certain feeling I get every time I come here, and you gotta wonder why.
It's the energy, the crystal
It's the
energy.
of the crystals.
We're kind of settled into this natural rhythm of pairs going up and pushing the route a little bit higher. We had about 180 meters of static line that we were using to fix the pitches so that it was easy to get up to our high point.
Saddle up and ride, brother.
And Zach led the next pitch. You know, it was easy terrain kind of on the ridge, but there was quite a few big loose blocks, and Zach didn't want to mess with them, didn't want to kill me. But yeah, he ended up kind of traversing around them on this less featured slab. And we did one pitch and we came down. Day 3 was a rest day for me and Zach. Rob and Dave went up and put up another pitch 4. Seemed to go pretty well. They went out pretty late. It was pretty rainy this morning and misty, and so they didn't end up going until 6 p.m., but it was beautiful out when they did. We're north of 60, early July, so the sun barely goes down for more than like an hour or two at that time. And they pushed up the next pitch. You went up the slab from where Zach and I had stopped and went left into this corner.
Is this what you normally do at 8:30 at night?
No, normally I'm sort of winding down, getting ready to have a nice restful sleep.
Yeah, man. Well, we're making some progress though.
Yeah, nice lead.
Oh, thanks. There's camp down there. What? Yeah.
Just finished ascending the lines to our high point at pitch 3. Zach's following behind. Here's the jump shot anchor. Ton of shit. This is the next pitch. Soon we're going to be at the base of the big head wall.
Zach took off on lead. There was this really cool kind of fin sticking out of the ridge with a corner open book feature, which was like kind of one of the coolest pitches on the route. And then we were kind of at the first kind of crux of the route. You look at the ridge and it's kind of, it gradually steepens, and then you hit this kind of yellow band of steep vertical rock.
You know, after you're climbing a lot of low angle terrain and you see the first vertical step, obviously overhanging, you know, you're just wondering what it's going to be like. And man, it was just perfect finger cracks turned into an overhanging hand crack. I mean, it was just an absolute climber's dream to come up on that.
Holy shit. Look at pitch 6. Are you kidding me? Fingers to hands in the most outrageous place ever. Bananas.
What was, I guess, the hardest part of the trip for you? Hardest moment, maybe?
Yeah, definitely being on the arete on that really windy day.
Yeah, the worst part of the trip was definitely the wind.
I think the hardest part, honestly, was the wind.
The next day, Dave and Rob went up again. I was shocked. The wind was terrible, barely any sun, quite cold. Woke up to a very windy day, and I just stayed in bed. I heard Rob come up to my tent and he said that they were going up, and I was like, wow, you guys are crazy. Like, I did not imagine that you'd be doing this today.
And so I'd barely slept. You know that feeling you get when you haven't slept well and you just kind of feel a bit like hollow, a bit empty. And then we get up to the col and we sort of talk about acceptable wind speeds and that sort of thing. But I think Dave and I both knew, well, we're here, we may as well give it a good push. And then as we did the commute up and we got higher and higher and it was sort of getting a bit windier and a bit colder, it was like, well, we're here, we may as well keep pushing. I don't know if we ever explicitly said that, but maybe we were both thinking it.
Today's one of those a little bit of gnar days. It's a little bit of windy. You can see Rob. Hopefully you can see Rob. Oh yeah, coming up the fixed lines. And yeah, I'm just chilling out in this little nook because we got a little bit of protection. But yeah, I'll show you how the clouds are spilling out over the col over there.
With bad weather in the forecast, the boys knew their time was limited. They chose to rest for a day before a final attempt to reach the summit on day 7.
A little rest day hike. Gonna go scope some stuff.
Hello.
Good day. Massive cave under this big chalk stone, ready to slam shut down onto us.
I'm just trying to have lunch and this f***ing chalkstone squished me.
Because of the chopper ride, the boys could bring in lots of fresh food, but that couldn't last forever.
We're here with our resident biologist. We've run out of vegetables, and he's going to show us how to find fiber in the alpine.
Yeah, so as John said, we're living in camp, and you know, food can get a little tedious and a bit lacking in the certain bowel movement qualities. So it's really easy when you're in the alpine to find ample sources of fiber. As you can see, there's lots of lichen, and we're basically going to use that as an indicator to find an ideal source of protein. So we're just going to follow the lichen up, and I think I've spotted some. So if we just come in close, you can see all you need to do is just pull out your jar of Metamucil, and that will keep you regular for the days to come.
So Rob was pretty shaken and made the call that he wasn't going up on the route again, which is fair. I think if I was in his position, I would have done the same thing. I was myself, with like less intense experiences on the route so far, already kind of there. Was like, man, I don't know if I want to go up. But anyways, there was more discussion as to what we were going to do with the route. The weather windows weren't looking great. The next day we went up, 3 of us, Dave, Zach, and I. We were going to try and push it to the summit. Almost at the high point, above the jug. This fixed line. It's kind of scary. Dave's behind us, grabbing the fixed lines to bring him up. Zach's above there, getting ready to do the next lead, so I'll be up there shortly. Beastly Dave, coming up with hundreds of pounds of gear.
So this is my little nook. I'm waiting for Zach and John up there. Can't really see them around the corner, but pretty sweet spot, pretty sweet day actually. Last time I was right here it was snowing, so I'm glad that I'm actually warm. And we're hoping to top out today, but we shall see. It's a lot of mountain left there, but hopefully we can top out on this sub peak today.
Zach climbed what I think is probably the best pitch of the route.
This big scary triangle slab higher up on the route, you know, it just looked totally blank from all different angles.
Okay, John, I'm about to be free climbing.
But it turns out it was this beautiful finger crack that went 2/3 of the way up, and then you bust out left and the crack disappears, and ride that edge of the ridge right on into the crack systems, and it is some of the most exposed wild climbing I've ever done.
This is wild.
Swinging my leg up onto the lip and looking left and right. That was the most edge climbing. It was exciting, exciting stuff I've ever done for sure.
And then the next pitch was a big question mark as we reached the next kind of vertical step, the start of the tower head wall. It was kind of super steep looking blank slab up to a crack, but to the right there was this kind of like almost horizontal looking traverse crack, but the rock didn't look the greatest, and we made the choice to go right. Yeah, the rock wasn't great on that pitch, but we was able to put some bolts in, able to place some gear, and it was a relatively short pitch, but definitely a little bit nerve-wracking with the rock.
Tucked away at our not so cozy belay. Well, Zach dropped stuff above, but hey, it's a nice day and we're in a beautiful spot. I'll give you the piano.
So at the top of the chimney pitch, there was this VW Beetle-sized piece of rock that must have fallen out sometime between now and 6 years ago that basically granted us passage to the upper head wall. Bullocks.
Dave was going to take lead on the next pitch, so he followed and I jugged the fixed line.
We had quite a close call with that, encountering some blocks, and we're bringing up a haul bag and accidentally sent down some rocks on top of John.
And Dave shouted out, and I thankfully was paying attention and was able to push myself away to the side. And I watched the rock, this rock that was maybe a bit bigger than a soccer ball, fly right past where I was moments earlier. Can you talk about the summit push day?
The summit push day. Oh God, yeah. Well, I mean, it was definitely a long day because I knew that as soon as Zach was done leading, I was going to be on. And then, yeah, that last pitch, I don't know, I think I'll always be a little torn.
This is the top of the head wall. Pretty close.
You had the head wall, and it was kind of split by this massive jaw. And Dave could look in there and saw that there was like a perfect flat bivvy spot. So he was really stoked about that.
Long story short, we got to the point where if I didn't go up that head wall, we weren't going to finish the ridge. So just taking all the bolts we had left and bolting and hooking and hooking and bolting.
Right as he kind of got to this point where the steepness had eased off and it would have been easy climbing, he ran out of bolts.
Well, all the yelling sounds like this is it. So I'm wrapping from here. I got the last bolt in. I'll back it up on the 1-2 hooks below me. And we finished almost to the top of the first little summit, but it is way late, like 10:45, and I just had a very long lead. Here's the top of the buttress. There's like that tiny little bit there, but basically the top, and it is like 10:45, which is really crazy. That was an epic lead. I could see I was near the lip. And then 2 hooks out, ready to put in the final anchor. Had a f***ing tape on it. And I couldn't get the tape off. So I had to get my knife out.
Okay.
Holy Christ, that was a long lead.
But what was cool was we rappelled all through the night, and I didn't have a headlamp. And, you know, kind of rookie move in a way, but I had my phone in case I needed it, and I just never did. So it was pretty neat to know that there's enough light. You know, it got darkish, but never dark enough that I was worried about it. So
it's 1:30 now. We're at, what pitch is this? Top of pitch 4, top of pitch 5. I don't know. We got a rope stuck. It's just been a bit of a complicated descent, but I mean, it's really beautiful and we're almost down, so.
We finally made it back to the shoulder, to the col. I think it was like 2:30 in the morning. Keeping in contact with Rob the whole time via radio, and got back to camp around 3 a.m. and the sun was starting to come back up. And Rob had made his bagels and a bunch of food, and it was awesome. It was such a good you know, welcome back to have Rob there feeding us. And of course, as soon as we got back down, the wind picked up again, and you know, we scarfed our food down and went to bed.
We kept Nicole up all night too.
we didn't keep Heather up all night.
When you look at the route, there's kind of this obvious feature. You've got this ridge that gradually steepens, and you've got this tower at the top when you're looking at it dead on. But when you kind of look at it from the side, that's actually only a sub-summit. And the main summit, you know, you've got this long flat ridge and then a little bit more of steeper climbing. So we were kind of discussing, you know, what would we consider a route, and decided that, yeah, like, you know, if we made it to the sub-summit, that maybe that'll constitute a route. The ultimate goal would be to get to the main summit, obviously. But when you look at it kind of as a standalone feature, that tower kind of, you know, it feels like a top out, feels like a finished route. And yeah, Dave, you know, he said that he thinks he could have like belly flopped onto the ledge and kind of climbed the final 10 meters up the easy climbing to the top of that sub-summit. Yeah, he just didn't know if he was going to be able to find stuff to set an anchor and come down. He made the choice to come down from there. And you know, in his mind, he says, you know, he thinks that, you know, it was the center of the route, but Zach thinks that it's not done.
It's a little windy. Well, it's 4 a.m. and I think we left for the route at 9 a.m. So it's been a crazy long day. And I'd say we got to the top of our feature, not to the top of the mountain, but anyways.
This unique opportunity that we had to come in with helicopters was the ticket we needed to equip a route of this size. And although we didn't top out the entire feature or the true summit, you know, I think that what we set out to do was absolutely accomplished. And you know, I just can't wait to come in here super light with no hammer, no iron, nothing but a double rack and a couple of ropes and go to the top. And if it wasn't for this trip and this team effort that we made, like every single person on this trip was absolutely crucial to making everything happen. And you know, although we didn't get a summit, this is just one trip. And almost everywhere, especially when you're breaking new ground and going somewhere that no one's ever been before, Sometimes that just requires multiple visits. And hey, I twist my arm, like, spend more time out in this place? Are you kidding me? Like, look at this. This is ridiculous.
So your plan is to come back and do the integral.
Yeah, and that was part of our dream, 7, 8 years ago, was to have something with that wild, remote, and out there feel. It was something we could do without a chopper ride and without a float plane, unless you really wanted it. Our goal is to create somewhere that people could walk in with just a rack and a rope and have a super good time and explore part of the Yukon that they never knew existed. Big and steep and gnarly. I don't think it's gonna be 5'8".
Both your feet get wet?
Yeah, but I have these like waterproof socks on.
What a beautiful view.
Yeah, the worst part of the trip was definitely the wind.